Okay, now 5 primary school children were killed in a horrific accident in Mitchell's Plain in Cape Town this morning as they were making their way to school. One child was rushed to hospital. Police say they are investigating the cause of this crash. Our reporter Ayesha Ismail was at the scene of this terrible accident. She's joining us now from our studios in Cape Town. Ayesha, good afternoon. Not a good story. You were at the scene there where the school children died so tragically. Do we know yet the circumstances surrounding this accident? And what are the authorities saying?
So, Dan, what we know now is that a 55-year-old man has been arrested on a charge of culpable homicide, and he is the driver of this vehicle that was driving children from Khayelitsha to various schools in Mitchell's Plain. Now, what we also do know now, and as you said in your introduction, 5 children, primary school children, died in that horrific accident. 2 children were taken to hospital. 1 is in a critical condition and 1 has already been discharged from hospital. This morning when I arrived on the scene, I saw this bakkie. It was horrific. And the traffic light that this bakkie hit, the traffic light was still attached to the bakkie. And I'm amazed that the driver was not injured, and he was arrested on the scene. But this is what the MEC for Education in the Western Cape, David Mania, had to say.
This obviously is an unimaginable tragedy. I have a young child myself, and I can't imagine what it must be like for a parent to get this terrible news. We have spent time with some of the parents this morning, and they are obviously angry and distraught. And our role now is to provide all the support that we can as a department to the parents, to the schools, and to the school communities, which is what we're doing. We are deploying support teams to the schools to ensure that parents and the school communities are properly supported during this terrible time.
Now, just wondering if that bakkie you're talking about that was transporting these children from Khayelitsha to different schools in Mitchell's Plain was actually registered or not. I mean, was it a officially recognized or used school transport?
So, Dan, the MEC for Mobility, everywhere else it's called the MEC for Transport. Here in the Western Cape, they call it the MEC for Mobility, was also on the scene. And he was saying that this transport was definitely not registered with the Western Cape Education Department. The driver also did not have a PDP, a public driver's permit. And he also talked about the fact that parents need to be careful and also scrutinize the people that they hire to take their precious children to school. But I did speak to one of the first responders on the scene, who was a member of the Western Cape Metropolitan Health Sector, and she was also saying that it was just, you know, when she arrived on the scene, she could not believe what she saw, and also just describing what this vehicle looked like. And just coming back to the MEC again, he was saying under no circumstances would a bakkie be authorized to take children to school. But it also again just brings into question the fact that people are prepared to send their children out of their designated school areas for a better education. And also, if one just looks at how much transport costs these days, I guess that parents are looking at the cheapest fees, or fares rather, that they can get to ferry their children to school. But just look what has happened to these children now. But let's listen to what Damaris Kivitz had to say to me earlier today.
No, it's not, because it doesn't have the lines on, and it also doesn't have the circle on that tells you that it has been identified as school transport by the given schools that is transporting children. Once again, the concern is that we as parents also need to take responsibility, because we allow our children to get onto transport that maybe isn't roadworthy, that doesn't have liability, and we allow recklessness. And for me, law enforcement needs to step up on our roads, and especially around the time school children are being transported to schools.